am panicking seeing this. We'll come to this.
When you see the report, Earlier, people used to think that, don't take oil, don't take fat because your cholesterol will go up. I honestly tell you, if you really want to perform high, your brain has to function at your peak, you need to have slightly higher levels of cholesterol. Sunflower oil is a killer. One of the major cause of most of the disease is sunflower oil. I think most of the challenges happen when you become very specific, like you start getting into a specific diet plan. Who told you that diet plan is fit for you? You go to a gym, most of the time you'll be put into an HIIT. And nowadays, people are running run clubs and the marathons and all those stuff. These are all good, but genes are like loaded guns. What is the factor which is going to fire? That's called the trigger. If you can block the trigger, you can block that disease to happen in your life.
And some of the bullets that's there in my genes are lung cancer, thyroid cancer, stomach cancer, bladder cancer. So it's looking very, very scary.
We have seen hundreds of reports in which genetically there is lactose intolerance, but they have no symptoms. But it's going to create something called leaky guts, where your immunity is damaging your own cells. A multi-millionaire, he had the same condition. So our genetic counselor told him that, sir, you are not supposed to run marathons. He started laughing. He said, it's become a passion for me. I want to be a marathoner now. Now in 2023 Delhi Marathon, he collapsed. It's very clearly written that marathon is not for you. But our gentleman said that, no, I want to run marathon. I thought vitamin B is a very safe vitamin. But here is one doctor who is telling me stop taking B.
What are the foods for my brain?
You should take deshi ghee, extra virgin coconut oil, I said omega-3 fatty acid. This is a feed for your brain.
So, Dr. Sajeev, we've just done this 45-page report on my entire blood and my DNA. Looking very scary at first glance. But before we deep dive into my health, wanted to understand who are you and what is it exactly that you do? Right? Can you just break it down for the audience?
Yeah, I have been in the field of wellness for the last 25 years. Started my journey earlier in the corporate life. I was with pharmaceuticals. Then I moved into nutraceuticals, started selling nutritional supplements. Then I understood that that's only one piece of the wellness. So I became more passionate about this concept because way back in 2000, not many people were talking about wellness.
Right.
And generally people used to define health as something like lack of disease. If there is no disease, I'm healthy. Even now, many people think like that. Along with this, I was continuing my business in nutraceuticals. Then in 2003, we opened the first wellness clinic in Kochi, along with one of the medical doctors. And 2005, I happened to do a nutrigenomic test in the US.
Okay.
2005.
Nutrigenomic test.
That means a genetic testing to understand how your genes are responding to various nutrients. Because nutrients which you get from your food. That was an eye-opener in my life because I used to take a lot of supplements that time itself. So the doctor who gave me the consultation, he said that, hey Sajeev, look, you have a specific mutation on this particular gene. And so you should be very careful when you're taking vitamin B. So I till that day, I thought vitamin B is a very safe vitamin. And most of the people, think in that way. Like even more with most of the medication, you get a B complex.
Correct.
But
B12 and all of that.
Yeah, B12, B6, B2. This B complex is quite common now.
Correct.
But here is one doctor who is telling me that one of those B is creating a problem for you. So stop taking B for the time being.
Okay.
That made me curious and I wanted to really go deeper into that. So 2006, we introduced genetic testing in India. But at that point of time, no labs were doing the genetic predisposition testing. Again, 2000, coming closer to where we are right now, 2016, 17 was the time. In wellness space itself, I became very curious about the subject of longevity.
Okay.
Mainly because of my own reasons, because I was nearing my 50s. So I was wondering how I can enhance my energy levels and productivity, stay youthful, post 50s.
But do you feel that post 50 your energy is going down?
No, I am more powerful now.
How old are you now?
Now 57.
57.
Yeah.
You feel you're more powerful than you're younger?
Absolutely.
Wow.
More powerful than my 40s.
Like after turning 30 only, I feel like, wow, now I know what my parents were talking about. I don't have much energy.
That's Sharan, that's the moment you start understanding about longevity, the first basic thing which made me like, it was a breakthrough moment in my life, was when a scientist was talking about, I got connected with few scientists in the US. He said, the longevity scientists always believe that aging is a disease. normal people consider aging is a normal thing,
Right.
but they think that aging is a disease. So that statement itself has got the answer inside. That means it is curable, it is reversible. I'm not saying that, you can reverse all age, but your biological aging process can be slowed down.
Right.
That was an eye-opener. That was a breakthrough moment, and I took a deep dive into it. That's the time I came across the word biohacking, which has become a trend in the West.
Yeah.
Hacking your own biology, and nobody was talking about in the Asian region. And when I started reading and understanding about biohacking, I could see something which is very interesting there. Of course, on one side, you're talking about inserting chips and all those stuff, which is a different ballgame altogether. But they're talking about fermented food. They're talking about earthing, grounding, walking on earth, barefooted. That's generally they call it as a grounding. They're talking about breath work, which has become a multi-billion-dollar industry right now.
Real.
Yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now.
Breath work.
And selling breath, and I found that, okay, most of these things what we are talking about, we have been practicing. My grandmother used to put ghee, deshi ghee in coffee, black coffee. And now when it comes back from the West as a branded stuff. So that made me to understand it much deeper. And that made me to write my 5th book, that is The Making of the Superhuman, which is about the converging that concepts of biohacking with the Eastern wellness wisdom. And I released the book, got a good acceptance. And that was the time I started realizing that GAN is fine, but at the same time, people need tools, products, services, packages, whatever it is, so that they can implement it. That's how we floated the company called Vieroots in 2019. In 2020, we launched commercially our operations. We started with the genetic testing, a comprehensive genetic testing, where you get the genetic testing report, and the report carries all the 275 health conditions, normal general conditions on which people are having some challenges or other, like whether it's a cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or hypertension. So it measures the risk factors. It's not telling you that you have the disease, but you are carrying the gene variant which can lead to the disease. So that is a starting point. But just by knowing about the risk factors is not going to help you.
Correct.
It can sometimes make people panic.
I am panicking seeing this. We'll come to
When you see the report, yeah.
Right.
When you see the other report that's called the Epigenetic Lifestyle Modification, then you'll understand that, okay, I can manage it. That's what last 5 years, my medical team, genetic team, all put together, we started correlating the data. So the data which we come from the genetic testing report and the data we get from metabolic assessment. That means either through a questionnaire or through blood report. That's your present health data, which keeps on varying all the time. But we correlate this data and come out with something like, okay, if you are carrying this gene variant which can lead to this disease, genes are like loaded guns. Okay? Suppose a loaded gun is there on the table, it's not going to harm us unless and until we trigger it. So the key question is the trigger. What's going to be the trigger? Maybe you are carrying a gene variant for coronary artery disease. But unless and until, unless and until it is not triggered, you have no issue. So what is the trigger? That's what we wanted to figure out. And we did a lot of work on this. And I would rather say we may be the pioneers in India, at least, figuring out the epigenetic. We call it as the epigenetic. That means you cannot change your gene, which is there right from your starting of your life. Your starting of your life means you started your life as one cell.
Right.
A sperm and the egg joint, 23 chromosome from father, 23 chromosome from mother joint. We call it as 23 pairs of chromosome.
Yeah.
And this chromosome's X-shaped chromosome contains the double helix structure called DNA. Okay. And DNA contains the genes.
That is already set when you're born.
Yeah. So genes are nothing but information. Information about how your nose should be, how your skin should be, how your hair should be.
Right.
Along with that, you are also carrying the information from your ancestors about the kinds of variants or the kind of damages they created in their genes. Okay, that's called gene variants.
Interesting.
Which can lead to different diseases. Right. Now, if it is triggered, then it will manifest or express as disease.
Interesting.
So we started identifying the triggers. We started working deeply and we started identifying the triggers for each of these risk factors. Now, ultimately, what we have come out with something called EPLIMO, which is Epigenetic Lifestyle Modification Program.
Okay.
So that means based on the genetic report, based on your metabolic assessment, we identify the trigger. We tell you that, hey, Sharan, you have got this high risk. Okay, don't worry about it. That doesn't mean that you have that disease. But this could be your trigger, okay, which can lead to this disease. So if we can block the trigger, you can as well block that disease to happen in your life.
Basically, the bullet is there in my genes, but unless it's fired, the bullet won't kill me.
Yeah.
That's
What is the factor which is going to fire? That's called the trigger. So we identify the trigger and block the trigger so that, maybe in your lifetime that disease doesn't appear even though you carry the gene variant.
Interesting. So just to make the conversation a little bit more interesting, I did this test obviously with your help. And some of the bullets that's there in my genes are lung cancer, thyroid cancer, stomach cancer, bladder cancer. So it's looking very, very scary that I have a genetic predisposition to get these things. And I was also thinking, how did my parents live their life? So my dad is 70 years old and my mom is 60 years old. Right. They look very young for their age. Yeah. A lot of people, when they look at my dad, I tell them he's 70. No way, he looks 60 years old or 55 years old. And my mom at the age of 60, she looks 45 years old. Wow. They look very young for their age. And if I go and tell them, Mom, Dad, you know what, I spent 30,000 rupees to get these reports on my DNA and it's telling that I have a risk for lung cancer, they'll be like, Sharan, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Look, I have not done any of these tests. Yeah. I have not even done a simple blood report every year as doctors recommend. And I'm very healthy. Just eat fish, chicken. We are in Mangalore. Eat good food, and do a little bit of walking in the park. Yeah. You are healthy. Yeah. So what would you say to that? That a lot of people think that, doing these sort of tests unnecessarily scares you. Yeah. But if you follow the basics, which is eating good food and taking a walk in the park, you're well. And neither did our ancestors for hundreds and thousands of years have access to these kind of reports.
True, very true.
So what would be your reply to that for people living in India in 2025? Has something changed in the last 10 or 20 years, which is making these sort of tests and reports more important than in the past?
Yeah. Obviously, I also believe that as long as you are leading a kind of a normal, happy, healthy life, there may not be much of challenges. I think most of the challenges happen when you become very specific, like you start going to a gym, okay, or you start getting into a specific diet plan. Who told you that diet plan is fit for you? Who told you that a workout you are doing in the gym is right for you? Okay, when you are saying that, okay, walking on the lawn or walking on the beach, that's fine. But the moment you're getting into specific things, even some specific yoga postures, is it really right for you? There is an old proverb you must have heard: one man's food can be another man's poison. You say that, hey, I'm eating organic, so that means you can afford to buy organic. Okay, that's fine. Right. But in our state, Kerala, which is considered to be very clean, right, there was a survey done by the health department on organic stores, and they found that 58% of the content, the products which they are selling had harmful chemicals.
Interesting.
We have seen cases like, when we talk about food alone, we have seen cases because broccoli is considered to be a very healthy vegetable, and nowadays everyone is behind it. Yeah. There are cases, we have seen some reports in which some people, they have a higher risk for certain autoimmune diseases. And the trigger we found is connected to an ingredient called sulforaphane, which is a required antioxidant, which is in plenty in broccoli. So these people, when you have a higher dosages of sulforaphane, this gene gets triggered. So you tell me whether broccoli is the good food or bad food. We don't know. It may work for you, it may not work for somebody else.
Interesting.
Same is the case with exercise. HIIT, you go to any gym, when I talk about it, maybe the fitness trainers may not like me, but that's a fact. You go to a gym, most of the time you'll be put into an HIIT. What is that? High intensity interval training.
HIIT exercise.
Yeah, HIIT exercise. And nowadays people are running run clubs and, I did a post on run clubs and there's been a lot of controversy on the run clubs and the marathons and all those stuff.
Also that, I think, High Rocks.
Now the issue, these are all good, but but do you really know that this works for you or works against you? Because we have seen, we have done 24,000 plus cases till now on this Eplimo program. And last 6 months, we did a study we took 500 samples, 500 cases, random samples, men, women, having higher risk for sudden cardiac death.
Okay.
Okay, genetically. Doesn't mean that they're going to have it, but they have a higher chance than other people.
Sure.
And 72% of them also carry the gene variant which can lead to something called prolonged QT. Prolonged QT is something like you have the heartbeat, and between the heartbeat there's an electrical charge. That's called the prolonged QT. QT is a gap. If you look at the ECG, you can see that. So some people have got that slightly prolonged. It is not a disease. It's a condition.
Sure.
Now, people who are having the prolonged QT, they have a higher likely chance to get sudden cardiac death. Now the question is that what makes that gene on? What's the trigger for QT, prolonged QT gene?
Right.
And we found that it is HAIT or long endurance exercises like marathon.
Wow. So I think I have something similar in my report also. You've written exercises which are not suitable for me. Sprinting, incline treadmill.
That's mainly because you have a higher risk for something called Achilles tendinopathy. That means there is some tendons which can go weak.
Tendons matlab?
Here in this part,
Actually, I've had ankle sprain also.
Really? That's because of this tendency?
Yeah, because when I was around 12, 14 years old, I used to play football a lot. And once what happened was when I jumped and I landed, like the Ronaldo jump, in my own way. And when I landed, my ankle sprained and then it ligament tore.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was on a cast. And then the doctor told me I can never play football again because the ligaments don't heal.
Yeah.
There is a surgery to put more ligaments, but it was like, right? Don't play football. That's it. And then I've just been playing table tennis for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
I have a high risk, you're saying, for this kind of...
Yeah, you already genetically have got the high risk. That's why it expressed when you did that. Now, let me complete the previous one, because otherwise some people, I may become a hater for them.
Yeah.
Marathon.
Right.
Now, we have a case, a multimillionaire who did our program, and he had the same condition, like the prolonged QT condition. And he was recommended by the genetic counselors, like you had the counseling. So our genetic counselor told him that, sir, you are not supposed to run marathons. He started laughing. He said the last year onwards, I started running marathons and it's become a passion for me. I want to be a marathoner now. And you are telling me it's not good for me. I cannot accept this.
Okay.
Now in 2023 Delhi Marathon, he collapsed.
2023 Delhi Marathon, he collapsed. Okay.
Taken to the hospital, and that cardiologist had some understanding about genetics. So he said, multi-billionaire like you, when you get into this kind of things, you should do proper testing. He said, I have got this thing. And he shot this, and he said that it's very clearly written that marathon is not for you. But our gentleman said that, no, I want to run marathon. Now, interestingly, Sharan, it was a great eye-opener for us also, because when he was insisting that he wanted to run marathon, we did a deeper dive into this all subject. And we found that people who are carrying this gene variant for prolonged QT, 92% of them genetically deprived of absorbing magnesium mineral. So that means even if you are eating a lot of nuts and all those stuff, your absorption is very less.
Got it.
And that is leading to prolonged QT. That is not the HAIT, but maybe because the person who is genetically deprived of magnesium getting into HAIT, triggering the QT, prolonged QT, which is leading to sudden cardiac death or whatever issues. Now he started running marathon again under the medical supervision. I believe he's being given magnesium IV before he runs. So, see, sometimes people think that, these are all things will put controls. No, it is not controlled. It is you are going to measure yourself. You are going to have a better understanding of your body.
Sure.
So that your performance can be enhanced. Yeah.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that when I look at health as a subject, there are so many things about health. Right? Health has its so many variants.
Yeah.
The number one thing which comes to people's head is hospital ka doctor. Right? If I go to the doctor, he will tell me everything. But beyond that, there is there is yoga, there is Ayurveda, there is, like, can you just name all the different things which comes under health?
Yeah, you normally when you come talk about healthcare,
Right.
healthcare as an industry, this is not what I said. Paul St. Pilzer, who was an economic advisor to 2 American presidents, he said that healthcare industry is the largest contributor for any nation's GDP. And what contributes to this industry? Hospitals, pharma industry, doctors, scan centers, what not. And what do they deal with? They deal with sickness. So he said, not me, he said, this industry has to be renamed as sickness industry. Okay.
Right.
And the interesting part is, as you are into business and investing and all those stuff, any business will thrive only when the customer likes it, yes or no.
Yes.
This is one industry no customer wants to go.
Yeah.
But still that is the largest contributor for the GDP. Imagine. So that's where Paul St. Pilzer was telling in his book. He says, look, if you can create another industry on the side where people love to go, then that industry should definitely be the number one industry in the world. And that's where he said it is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, which we call it's the wellness industry. Right now, it is about $7.2 trillion already.
Wow.
Yeah. So
basically, wellness is different from healthcare.
Absolutely. Wellness is preventive. It's about health. Healthcare is normally dealing with diseases or sickness.
Correct. So, Dr. Sajeev, when I look at the wellness industry, which country do you think has the most advanced wellness centers? Like, according to you, which country citizens are the healthiest in the world?
You cannot say the healthiest. The industry-wise, if you look at the industries, the fastest and the biggest in the US.
US is the best.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're the healthiest, but
they're
industry-wise,
their technology is most advanced.
If you look at the biohack centers, the kind of supplement market, you look at the yoga centers, even I believe the yoga industry in US itself is all close to about $2 billion. So Ayurveda is spreading like wildfire in the US. So I think US is the biggest market. We are yet to catch up. And now I'm sure that India is catching up, especially with nutraceutical industries growing at about 24% CAGR. So I think, we are on the track.
Which country do you think is the healthiest people? Because I've read about something called blue zones.
Blue zones, yeah.
Right. I think there are 4 blue zones in the world.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience what exactly is a blue zone?
Blue zone is it's identified as either cities, states, or countries where people have a healthy, longer life. That means we call it as a health span rather than lifespan. See, if you look at India, we had an average life expectancy of 48.
That's it?
Yeah, in 1980.
Okay.
Now it is 70.
Okay.
So
lifespan in India has increased from 48 to 70 in the last 40 years.
Yeah. Now that means 1 out of 3 will live more than 100 years anyway.
1 out of 3 will live more than 100.
If your average is 70, that means 1 out of 3 has to live more than 100 years.
But I don't think that's happening in India though.
It's going to happen now. From now onwards, you'll start seeing. The only question is, while you're saying that life expectancy has grown or become higher, the people are getting contracted with one or other lifestyle diseases in their 30s, which generally people used to get in their 60s and 70s.
Give me some examples.
Like diabetes, hypertension, people are getting it in their 30s and 40s. While
my report says high risk for hypertension and diabetes.
Yeah, that's only risk. You haven't got it till now. You haven't got it till now.
No.
So, but I think US is only intermediate, not the high risk.
Okay.
Intermediate risk is still fine,
Okay.
The people who are having the higher risk will have a higher chance.
So you're saying in India today, people at the age of 30 itself are getting diabetes and
definitely
and hypertension.
And they are taking it normal. That's the saddest part. They think that
it's normal.
It's okay. I'm on tablets. But the problem...
No, I think it's the thing that if I know somebody else who has this, then I'm okay. If I'm the only one who has it, then I'm afraid.
Exactly.
It's that.
You see, if you look at it, it was the same kind of a syndrome people were going through in the US way back in 2000, early 2000. That was the time in Silicon Valley, the youngsters who were going through all these kinds of health challenges, obesity, hypertension, and the normal medication and all those kinds of stuff. They were sick and tired and they said what to do. It is affecting our energy.
Correct.
See, the major issue is you may be okay with diabetes, but the kind of medication you are taking most of the time will affect your energy levels and performance, personal performance, your professional performance, in all areas of your life.
Right.
Now, that's a time this IT people in the Silicon Valley started thinking that how can we take charge of our own health? That's how the biohacking movement started in 2013, 14, from the Silicon Valley.
Interesting.
That's where the hacking came in.
The hackers.
The hackers came in.
The techies only started.
The biohacking stuff. So what I'm saying is, in India, the problem here, India, not just in India, many other countries, people are living longer, or rather you can actually rephrase it as people are dying longer. You're getting contracted with one or the other disease in the 40s and you're on tablets for the rest of your life.
Right.
That is extending your death.
That's not really living.
That's extending your death.
Correct.
Your performance affected. Your cognitive capabilities, thinking power is being affected. You have brain fog. You're not able to understand things faster. You're not able to memorize things. Kind of a zombie life. So this is the problem in normal countries, normal places. Blue zone is being identified in places where in the hundreds also they are healthy, they have memory, they are performing, they can do the things they want to do.
Have you been to these places?
I am right now in March. I'm going to Okinawa.
Nice. In Japan.
Okinawa is one place, and Sardinia is another place in Italy, which has got an average life expectancy of 110 now.
Wow.
Very healthy. Okinawa now registered, I think, 100,000 people crossing 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
One city has more than 1 lakh people living above 100.
Yeah. One city or Japan together, I don't know. Okinawa is the main place. Now, there they found many common things. There's been a lot of study on this subject. Even Netflix, you can check.
I saw that series. Yeah.
So one thing, very interesting thing, what we found is, of course, the pollution and all those things are there. But more than that, what they found is the common thing is the community living. Where people in their evenings, they come together, have a good time. They share their the experiences of the day. They laugh a lot, and being connected, staying connected, and all those kinds of stuff.
So basically, that cures loneliness.
That removes loneliness, because loneliness, which can lead to suicides and depression, is going to be the major cause of death in another 10 years time from now.
I think for people my age, people who are in their 20s and 30s, the number one problem in their life is loneliness. Like, although we have 500 followers or 1,000 followers on our social media,
digital or virtual,
right? But when it comes to at the end of the day, what we are doing is we are just sitting at home and watching TV.
Yeah,
we've forgotten how to connect with our friends and family members. So that is missing.
The interesting thing is that it's not just a social objective. It's a health objective, because he's being considered as one of the most important causes for longevity. If you wanted to live longer, you need to have great connections. You need to have great relationships. You need to have great friendships. This is scientifically proven. We are not talking philosophy. So blue zones are all these places. They found that the connectivity is very strong. Evenings they spend together, they laugh a lot, those kind of things. And of course, they have Mediterranean diet, which is less in fried food, and those factors are there. Most of them are taking red wine. There are two schools of thought, on that, but still.
So red wine is not bad.
Yeah, because it contains something called resveratrol, which is one of the most powerful antioxidants, which definitely enhances or reduces your oxidation, which is one of the factors which can lead to aging. So those factors are there, yeah.
Interesting. So basically these blue zones, they focus on community living. They focus on Mediterranean diet, which is considered to be the most healthiest.
Yeah.
And number 3 is?
They have movement. They always move. In Japan, you must have heard that, people are trained, or rather they are habituated to move.
Move and walk, yeah.
Because movement is the most important thing. Humans are built for movement.
So let's come back to India. Let's say I'm a 20-year-old person who is living in India. My primary objective in the beginning is to make money, right? And to make money, as per economics, you need to move to a place where money is being made.
That's right.
That is the biggest cities of our country. You have Mumbai, you have Bangalore, you have Delhi, Chennai and Hyderabad are also upcoming.
Yeah.
These are the places where there is most economic activity happening. Hence, after graduation, everybody moves to these cities. Now that I've made my money, now I'm thinking, okay, are these cities optimal for me from a health point of view? I feel right now we've reached a point where a human being can definitely not live in an area where AQI is 400 plus. So Delhi and all places are becoming toxic for our living.
Correct.
So I am thinking that all these big cities are going to become like that. And if I have the ability to work from anywhere and make money anywhere I stay in, because I'm a digital person who can make money from anywhere. So according to you, what are the places in India that I should be considering for my most optimal health?
There is a recent report, I don't know whether it's got published. They say that the third or fourth largest cause of death is change in zip code. That means you move from one city to another city. Maybe the oil you are going to use in the food, or maybe the kind of environment which you are going to be in, that can trigger certain genes. Okay, that's why in those people who are going through our program, Epilimo program, you will be getting, I think, whether you got the access to the app,
No, I've not got it.
So you'll get the access to our app called Trigger, TRIGR.
Okay.
In which we have built in a AI health concierge. Now your AI health concierge knows your genetic information. You can feed in your metabolic information, the present health information, and you can ask questions, specific questions like, hey, I'm traveling to Japan. Which all dishes I should be avoiding while I'm in Japan.
Interesting.
So the concierge will exactly tell you that these dishes, when you see these dishes on the menu, please avoid this because you have a higher risk of coronary artery disease with an elevated PUFA. That's called polyunsaturated fatty acid. So this contains sesame oil, which, it gives you an explanation.
Interesting.
So that you can design your life better. Now, that's one part. So location makes a difference. There is no doubt about it. If you have a choice, not many people have got that choice.
Correct.
Okay. If you have a choice, definitely I always recommend to find a city, not kind of a typical rural, because I always find that typical rural places, they are good, but I don't see that much of productivity happening there because generally the energy levels are low. So I love places where it's kind of a tier 2, tier 3 kind of cities, from where you can operate. Like Cochin is such a place, Udaipur is such a place. There are so many places. If you look around, you can see that, and the only thing is that not many people have got the luxury to take that decision. Yesterday also somebody was asking this question to me. Those people who are in Delhi, what should they do? They are stuck with a job. They cannot move out of that city. You have no other option, If you don't have an option, then the only one way you can counter that is by optimizing your own health or your own body and brain. How do you do that? Number one, you should know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. This is the most important thing. So always this genetic testing, the advantage I have all seen is that this is giving you an operating manual for the rest of your life. Okay, this is a once in your lifetime affair. After that, you don't have to do it again and again. Your genes will never change.
Right.
So once you have the operating manual, you have an idea that this is something which works for me, this is something which works against me. Now, once you have an idea about it, then you will have to say a city. Let's consider a city like Delhi. We know about it's very well polluted and all those stuff, so we don't require to discuss about that. Now, how I can counter it? Number one, I need to have a higher immunity. Okay, average Indian, suppose the immunity score is 10, mine should be 20 if I am in Delhi.
So, but if the AQI is 500 plus, 1000 plus, isn't it already a losing battle?
I cannot run away, no. I'm saying that somehow or other, how can I create a shield? How can I
So you're saying that it's possible to create a shield in such a poisonous environment?
You will have to do something about it, no? You cannot surrender.
Correct.
Number two, you have to take care of your gut.
Stomach.
Yeah, not the stomach. Stomach is your gut. Gut means your large intestines.
Okay.
Because, Sharan, when you have 40, 50 trillion cells in your body, you have more than 100 trillion microorganisms inside your gut. So you have more of your bacteria than your body.
Interesting.
If they do their job well, most of the things you can fight it out.
Wait, 40 trillion cells is human body.
Yeah.
And there are 100 trillion bacteria inside. So we are more bacteria than us.
Absolutely. 100%.
Oh.
100%. And if you look at the gut, interesting thing is that you have a gut lining, which is a mucus layer, and then there is a gut wall. In between, you have all these immune cells. Immune cells like an army, they are all laid. So almost 60% of your immune system is there laid out there. That's where you have to do a lot of fighting, right?
Interesting.
Now, if you are growing the right kind of bacteria, you will get the right kind of results. If you're growing the wrong kind of bacteria, you may not be growing. If you don't grow the right kind of bacteria, automatically the bad fellows will come in.
Correct.
Your gut will not become empty. They will just come in and they will form the colony. It's like the villain's colony. They can ruin your life. And your immunity can go haywire. So most of the time we forget about this fact. We are only looking at the external facts. And we have a biohack center in Cochin. And nowadays our doctors are more focusing because there is something called functional medicine. Functional medicine practitioners most of them are modern medicine doctors, but at the same time, they look at it from a root cause. Like, for example, in your report, I was seeing that you have a higher risk for two, autoimmune conditions.
Okay.
Where was it? Yeah. Crohn's disease and also Graves' disease. Intermediate. These are two autoimmune diseases. One is, normally if you look at it, one is connected to your gut-related issues. Like, you may have kind of bleeding through the rectum and all those stuff, when the disease happens.
Okay.
The other one is more to do with your skin. It will be coming in as, appearing as rashes and all on your skin. Once this disease appears, expresses.
Sounds scary.
And this is, autoimmune disease is common. Now, psoriasis is autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis is autoimmune disease. Now, if you look at it, you also have lactose intolerance.
Okay.
But maybe when you look at your food pattern, when you take dairy products, you may not have any problem as of now. I don't know whether you take dairy products, milk and all.
Stopped milk.
You stopped. But most of the cases, people think that lactose intolerance means when I take dairy products, I get some kind of itching or maybe nausea, vomiting, something of that sort. Then I believe that I have lactose intolerance or at least a headache. But we have seen hundreds of reports in which genetically there is lactose intolerance, but they have no indication or no symptoms. And in most of the cases, they have some autoimmune disease. Because when you have lactose intolerant and you're not knowing that you have that issue, so you're having dairy products, it is not exhibiting outside, but it's going to create some cracks on your gut lining. Which they call it as something called leaky guts. And leaky guts is considered to be the root cause of most of the autoimmune disease. Because autoimmune disease is where your immunity is fighting against you. Instead of fighting against the external, villains,
right,
it's fighting against you. It is damaging your own cells.
Okay.
So this is how it happens. Now, gut, look at this. Now, if your gut is proper, if your gut is strengthened, this gut lining will be proper. When the gut lining is proper, most of the autoimmune disease can be stopped. So what I'm talking about is that when you are talking about an environment, we cannot completely change the environment. Yeah, if you have an option to move out of Delhi or these kind of cities, do that. If you don't have, then build your own strength. Build your own defense. It is not that you don't have to surrender. You don't have to go with what media tells you. You don't have to believe that, oh my God, everything is gone now, my life is screwed up. You don't have to really worry about that. There are mechanisms by which you can build it to a certain extent.
So you're saying that if I'm living in a big city where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of pollution, a lot of noise pollution, whatever, and if I cannot move out of that city, just improve my immunity. Antioxidant, because basically most of this kind of pollutions, what internally it creates something called free radicals. Free radicals means it creates a lot of oxygen free radicals inside your body, which leads to oxidation inside your body. You cut an apple and keep it here, it will become turned brown, right? It is oxidation. Correct.
So excessive oxygen also creates oxidation. Now, this free radical injury, we call it as free radical injury, that leads to higher levels of oxidation, which in turn leads to something called faster aging and connected diseases connected to those aging. So you need to have a food which contains a lot of antioxidant, or take supplements which is good supplement, quality supplements, contains a lot of antioxidants. Go for those kind of fruits which can enhance your immunity, like vitamin C rich fruits like the citrus fruits, the amla, or take supplements. Because why I always say supplements, because in food, we are not very sure that we are going to get the nutrients or not nowadays.
Right.
So that's why I've been on supplements right from 2000. So I am a strong advocate of supplements, and I always enjoy the fruits of that. So we'll have to build in the mechanism. If you are in such a city, you need to be getting on. First of all, you should understand you are on genetics and the metabolics. And based on that, you have to have a supplement stack which can support you.
Before we come to the cure, can you first talk about, based on your experience, what are the top 3 or 5 mistakes that a young Indian is doing today who is living and working in a metro city? So I'm a 25-year-old person. I go to office every day. I reach at 10. I come home by 8 o'clock. I take Uber, Ola every single day. And that's my lifestyle. So what are the top 3 or 4 mistakes that such a person is doing, which is ruining their health and will potentially lead them to dying quicker? So what are those things?
Maybe 2 or 3. When you say 2 or 3, I can easily spot out. One is, sleep. You will have to understand how to get good sleep. There are so many videos now available on the YouTube itself, cutting down on the screen time, blah, 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 all those kinds of stuff.
Right.
There are good advices available. Go for that. Number 1. Number 2, movement. Make sure that your body keeps on moving. You take about 10,000 steps a day, somehow or other.
Maintain 10,000 steps a day. Come out.
Make sure that, that itself can actually give a lot of advantage for you. And also when I talk about movement, I always recommend that try to touch the Mother Earth at least twice or thrice in a week, somehow or other. That means walk barefooted on a grassland because
that helps.
That really, really helps. Because
what is that connection? Like if I walk directly
you have got about 30, 40 trillion cells in your body. Each of the cell is nothing but an electromagnetic field. Okay? And your earth is the major electromagnetic field. And now you have got all these electrical equipments out here. They're all earth, right? We are the only electrical equipment which is not earth. So we also need to be earth. And you get charged. You get electron exchange happening.
Interesting.
So important. Sharan, I'm telling you, I have seen people in their early stages of neuropathy, like they have the pins and needles and numbness. And when they started doing this, they came out of it without taking this neurobion and all those kinds of different medicines. So
walking barefoot on the ground. Not even on cement.
Not on the vitrified tiles. It's not going to help you.
Not even on road or cement.
No, on the ground. On the ground.
Get your feet dirty.
Yeah, absolutely. Third important factor is learn to manage stress, because you cannot live without stress now.
Yeah.
If somebody is advising you that you have to live without stress, I don't think it is practical. Because I'm an entrepreneur. I am building stress all the time.
Stress is needed for growth.
Yeah. When you are settled, you build another stress. That's the way you grow. The only thing you can practice is that how you can manage that stress well. So there are so many techniques which, again, there are so many gurus in the spiritual, not the digital world who can give you, but still breathing, conscious breathing is one way. The moment you are doing exhalations in a proper way, you will relax yourself. There are so many different techniques by which you can manage your stress. I'm not saying that you have to live without stress. See, what we have seen even in the genetic space, generally we think that stress has nothing to do with genetics. Some people used to say, I also believe at point of time. But as you are a person who deals with a lot of investors and entrepreneurs, I can tell you, you must have seen this, what I'm going to tell you now. An entrepreneur or investor who has been handling a lot of stress, all of a sudden comes to a situation where he is not able to handle even minor challenges in his life. Okay? I have seen many of them. And they say that I had no problem in jumping into anything new at that point of time. But I don't know what's happening. Maybe because of my age. Nowadays I'm not able to even handle 10% of the stress which I used to take. There is a gene variant which leads to something called low stress resilience. That means your resilience to stress goes down if the gene owns. Because you may be carrying the gene. I'm not saying that everyone is carrying the gene. Suppose if you are carrying the gene for low stress resilience, you may be able to handle all the stress, But if that gene expresses, that moment onwards, you won't be able to handle any stress, even minor stress.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then that person feels like, what happened to me? I am feeling depressed. I'm losing interest in business. I'm losing interest in life. I had one of my friends who's an entrepreneur who built a house, 4 or 5 crores. He invested on the house. He came and he told me, Sajeev, I really don't understand what's going on with me. When my children are playing around and they're happy, I'm looking at them and I'm wondering why they're happy. I don't have any interest to check into the new house. I'm depressed. I said, who told you that you're depressed? They think that they're depressed. But it's basically, if you look at it, that particular gene, when we checked, he has got that particular gene variant. And you know what? That the people who are carrying that gene variant that is leading to low stress resilience, the trigger could be many things. In that person's case, the trigger was lower absorption of magnesium again, in his case. In somebody else, maybe something else. Now, we asked him to start taking magnesium supplements. And seriously, in 2 to 3 weeks' time, he has started life and business in a completely different way.
So he got recovered.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Even before this discussion, I was telling that it's not just about the health. I'm talking about performance when it comes to entrepreneurs, when it comes to investors. Once you know what exactly is running in your body, the actual code, the real code, and if you can modify your entire life based on that, your lifestyle based on that, I think your performance enhances. You go 10x, 100x, whatever you want to achieve.
So something that I've noticed in my own life is that whenever I'm dealing with a lot of stress, because as you know, business is up and down.
Absolutely.
Right? There's no business is always going up.
No way.
Right? So when the ups are there, I'm very nice, over the moon. But when there are few months when the business is not doing well, that is when I tend to get angry easily. Right? And like not just with respect to work, like even other areas of life. I go home, that stress is there in my head. When I go home and there is some personal related issue that is coming, which is not really that big of a deal compared to the work issue. But because of that stress, I feel like I'm getting angry easily. What is the reason for that? Because I've been told to have anger issues in the past.
I'm not a doctor to prescribe anything, but I can tell you right now, it is written in your report.
Okay.
You have a higher risk for depression.
Okay.
You have, but I'm not saying that you have that problem.
Okay.
But the way, if you can start correlating, you can see that you have a very low concentrations of magnesium absorption.
Okay.
So magnesium is one mineral which has got a huge role to play when it comes to stress management.
So I have to take this magnesium glycinate at night.
Yeah, glycinate or citrate, whichever.
Okay.
You need to take, maybe that itself will change. You can just try it out and see. Maybe after 1 month, you can make a declaration what happened to you.
And one more issue I face is that I'm not able to switch my brain off, right? Like I'm constantly thinking. Overthinking, as they say. And it's like at any given point of time, in any hour, let's say in 1 hour, I'm thinking about at least 20 different things to do. And it's a cycle. This. And I want to act on it, but I'm not able to act on it. I'm just thinking about the next thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, I have to do this. Let me do it. But then that other thought comes to my head. Okay, I have to do this also. Then it goes into this. And it results in that spiraling thing. And I'm not able to do things also. So it's just me thinking about all those things, but not doing those things.
I'm again telling this is not a prescription, but still you get on to magnesium right now. And after 1 month, you will start seeing a difference in this problem also. Because overall, magnesium calms you down. And makes the brain start functioning. The prefrontal lobe, that is your thinking brain, will start functioning in a proper way. It'll start giving gaps.
Interesting.
Now, coming back to what you said, make sure that you're getting good sleep, because sleep is a time when all the recovery, the body do all the recovery and the repair and all those stuff is happening on the sleep. If you don't sleep properly, the body cannot do anything about it. Even your brain works the hardest when you sleep, because you have to do a lot of work. So if you don't allow the brain to do that job, like, entire drainage systems and all those so much of vast things have to happen, DNA repair. We have seen cases where, generally we say, heart-related diseases, people generally connect with cholesterol, right? So we have a completely different viewpoint because we are seeing hundreds and thousands of reports in which that data is not correlating, honestly. Maybe there may be some people who may challenge this statement, but still. We took about 500 samples of people who are having high risk for heart disease.
Okay.
And we found only 30% of them have got a risk of higher levels of cholesterol.
And the remaining 70%?
They don't have anything to do with the cholesterol.
Okay.
So the question is that is cholesterol the villain? Because cholesterol as such, if you look at it, cholesterol is an ingredient or a material which is being produced by your liver to do repair work inside your body. It is not a villain. Earlier, people used to think that, you avoid that yellow portion of the egg, the yolk. Don't take oil, don't take fat because your cholesterol will go up. Of late, American Medical Association came out with a paper saying that, guys, wait a minute. Dietary cholesterol has nothing to do with your serum cholesterol.
Oh.
All those yellows, the yolk, which we threw out, all became waste. We should have eaten it.
Right.
That contains a lot of magnesium. Now they say, cholesterol is produced by the liver. And if your cholesterol level is increasing, is it good or bad? I don't know, honestly. Because when your cholesterol level is going up, that means that there is some repair happening somewhere in your body. That's why liver is producing more cholesterol. Conventional medical practice, they will give you a statin to control the cholesterol level. So who is going to do that repair which is required there on the damage site? Are you getting what I'm saying? So this is a contradictory thing. So functional medicine doctors never look at it from that point of. I always maintain a higher level of cholesterol.
Okay, interesting.
And I honestly tell you, if you really want to perform high, your brain has to function at your peak, you need to have slightly higher levels of cholesterol.
But there is something known as good cholesterol and bad cholesterol.
That is there. But that ratio you have to maintain. You have a huge shoot of LDL, then that's a different problem we are facing now.
Okay.
Now, coming back to what you said. So sleep is a time when the repair happens, the DNA damage. So that's what I said. We found that only 30% of the people, we could connect their heart disease with cholesterol levels. But there is another interesting correlation we found is 92% of the people who are having this higher risk for heart disease also have a gene variant which leads to something called impaired DNA repair. That means their natural DNA repair capacity is low.
What is DNA repair? Right?
DNA repair means your cells are dividing all the time. The cells what you are having right now, it's not the same cells which you had 10 years back.
I'm a completely new person.
7 years you are completely renewed, including your bones. So during that cell division, DNA also goes through some strain. So some damages will be happening. It has to be repaired immediately. And also all the free radical injury I told you, the oxygen free radicals, oxidation, all this, the DNA goes through continuous damage. It has to be repaired.
So every time my cell is dividing, there's DNA damage.
There could be damage. Chromosomes are under stress. There are mechanisms to build it up. Like there is something called telomeres at the end of the chromosomes. In your report, if you look at it, you have a higher risk for telomere related challenge. Yeah, shortening.
Telomeres are linked to longevity.
Telomeres are like, if you look at this chromosome, at the end of the chromosome, you can see the cap. If you look at any of the Google, you can see the image of a chromosome. There are caps at the end. So these caps are something like which holds the chromosome tight when the cell divides. Otherwise, the chromosome will get damaged. So, but still, the entire pressure the telomeres take when it divides. So that's why about 40-50 times the cell divides. After that, cell stops dividing. That time, the telomeres will send a message saying that stop, I cannot handle anymore. Okay, then that cell becomes dead cell. We call it as a senescent cell. It's called zombie cells, which is not actually dead, but it won't function. Now, the people who are having the tendency to, shortening the telomere faster, they may age faster.
Because after a certain point, their cells can't divide.
Your cycles are faster, so you are aging faster. So if that gene expresses, if that gene doesn't express, there is no problem. Now, what makes the gene express? Because you may not be taking enough antioxidants in your food. Okay. Now, antioxidants your body has to produce. You must have heard about glutathione, which most of the people go for injections and all those stuff.
I've heard controversial things about.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked you. Because most of the people go for skin brightening and, fairness. That's the objective with which they go. Actually, this is a side effect. That's not what glutathione is all about. Glutathione is basically an antioxidant which your body produces. And when your body is not producing that much, you are giving it as an IV. It is good for your body, but at the same time, as a side effect, your melanin production will go down, so that your skin will be more brighter for a few weeks.
Correct.
Couple of weeks. So all these antioxidants, body will produce only when the body gets it from your food. So a person who has got a higher risk for telomere shortening has to be on a higher antioxidant, kind of
So you're saying glutathione for me would be good?
Very good.
Yeah, I should take glutathione
You
injections.
can consult with the functional medicine or functional medicine doctor and check.
Because my telomere is reducing at a faster rate.
Yes.
So is it a risk or is it already happening for me?
No, it is a risk only. It is a risk means maybe at some point of time when your antioxidant drops, that's the time it may figure out. You can find that trigger also. I just checked your report and I found a few triggers. I'll just give you how to find the triggers. Maybe when you are going through a detailed counseling, you'll get it. Like, for example, you have a intermediate risk for coronary artery disease. Okay. And also MI, that is myocardial infarction.
That's heart attack.
Yeah, heart attack. But that is directly correlated to something called PUFA. PUFA means that's a correlation. PUFA means polyunsaturated fatty acid. That means you have an elevated chances, you have a higher chance of getting these genes connected to coronary artery disease expressed when your PUFA level goes up. That means you will have to avoid the polyunsaturated fatty acids, means seed oils.
Like olive oil is considered under seed oil?
No. Seed oil is mainly sunflower oil.
Okay, I use olive oil.
Oil is a killer.
Sunflower oil is a killer.
Killer. I'm point blank, I'm telling you. One of the major cause of most of the disease is sunflower oil.
But coconut oil is fine?
Yeah. That's not a seed oil.
So I grew up eating coconut oil.
Coconut oil is fantastic. Olive oil is fantastic. Coconut oil itself, if you look at it, extra virgin coconut oil, phenomenal. So
saying sunflower oil, avoid for me.
Yeah, sunflower oil, flaxseed oil.
Flaxseed oil is bad.
Yeah. Seed oils won't be good. Sesame oil.
Or not good for me.
No. So that's the way we find the trigger. So once you identify the trigger, it becomes easy for you.
So what are some of those lesser known things that you have discovered in your journey of researching about health and longevity? Like everybody knows that, okay, I need to sleep for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I need to go to exercise. But what are those some of lesser known things, which is both either good or bad, that really shocked you as somebody who's done a PhD in this space?
If you look at, we handle hundreds of, this program cases,
because the data access that you have is...
And when we see the kind of correlations, how the people are coming out of some chronic diseases which they have been suffering for years by just making one fix.
Interesting.
It's amazing. And some of the practices which I used to do, like intermittent fasting, I used to promote intermittent fasting. I used to do intermittent fasting. And after that, I understood that, that also has got a factor, like whether it's suitable for me or not. I used to recommend keto diet for many people. But when you look at your genetic, in your case, there is no problem. But there are many people who are having something called an impaired fat metabolism gene. That means if you carry that gene variant, which can lead to something called impaired fat metabolism. So if you have that gene, if that gene expresses, your fat metabolism becomes weaker. Okay? You may be fit, you may be looking slim and all, but all of a sudden you start gaining weight. There are so many cases like that. So if you check most of these cases, they have this particular gene variant called impaired fat metabolism gene. Now, the problem is that when somebody is obese and overweight and they go to a dietitian, most of the time the dietitian recommend them to go for a keto diet nowadays. Imagine a person who has got an impaired fat metabolism gene condition.
What does that mean?
Means they cannot metabolize, they cannot break down fat.
Okay, and keto diet is what exactly? What do you have?
Fat.
What
high fat diet.
Okay, like a lot of meat.
Yeah, a lot of meat, a lot of, you avoid carbohydrate, you avoid protein.
Oh.
So if you put that person to a keto diet is maybe the most accepted thing when it comes to weight loss.
Can you give me an example of what does a meal look like in a keto diet?
Most of the meal is non-veg. if it is not non-veg, like avocado kind of vegetables, and you can have a lot of good oils like the olive oil, the MCT oil, which is derived
I think
from
by
coffee.
design I'm a keto diet person because I eat a lot of meat, a lot of fats.
You won't have any problem because you don't have that problem. There are a few people who are having this impaired fat metabolism. If you put that person into keto diet, they may have severe health challenges. So what I'm talking about is that, generally, even medical doctors say genetics is only about 1%, 2%. The rest is everything is your lifestyle. But the challenge, what I'm seeing is that what is your lifestyle? Your lifestyle has to be designed based on that 1 or 2% which controls genetics. So that is the personalized lifestyle. So this has been my greatest insight during the last 5 years. And I found that whenever I look at anything now, even life success, as a success coach or transformation expert, I have been doing a lot of peak performance events. Thousands of people come. And now when I speak from the stage, maybe about 50% of the time I talk about these factors without even my knowledge, because I know that if a person's performance, his life success also depends on these factors. That's why I created a course called Biohack for Life Success. Most of the people consider biohack for only about biology. I consider that this is you need to have an optimized body, brain and mind to perform at your peak. So my perspective about life changed. I was thinking in my early days in my human transformation, I thought it's all about mind and the mind power and the subconscious mind and power of manifestation, all those stuff. But later on, I realized it's more to do with your brain and the neuroscience. And now when you understand your body completely from your genetic and your metabolic point of view, we understand that your success to a larger extent depends on your body, brain and mind. All three, you need to optimize. We always concerned about what we feed for the bottom, neck down portion. How about our neck up? Are we really concerned? Are we really thinking about what we are feeding? Your brain is full of fat. And are we giving the right kind of fat to a brain? I always recommend people that you should take Deshi ghee, which is the best thing for your brain.
Okay.
A2 ghee, we call it as A2 ghee or Deshi ghee.
That's good.
Extremely good because it contains something called short chain fatty acids or butyrates. This is a feed for your brain.
So I have to put that with my black coffee in the morning.
Black coffee or as such you can eat. I start my day with 1 scoop of A2 ghee on black coffee. That's the way I start.
Let me start that.
That's
one ghee in the office.
Oh, excellent. A2 ghee, you'll have to find out the right kind of farm.
So do you think I should give this, right? Obviously, there's a coffee machine in my office.
Why don't you?
Should I just keep a ghee also next to that coffee machine?
You can see productivity increasing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Energy level.
Because I'm as good as my 150 employees.
If
they can go 2x, I make 2x.
Sustained energy levels and also your brain functions definitely go 10x. Now, second thing is, what I have found is MCT oil, which is called medium chain triglycerides, which you get from virgin coconut oil. Cold pressed extra virgin coconut oil. This is really good for your brain. I haven't seen that people who are in their early stages of Parkinson's, when they started taking extra virgin coconut oil, in the early stages, if they start taking it, they can see the results in their life. I take about 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin coconut oil every day, which is really, really good.
Extra virgin coconut oil.
Cold pressed.
Cold pressed. How do you take, just to drink that?
It's tasty. Otherwise, you can sprinkle it on your vegetables and all the stuff.
That's also good.
Yeah. And omega-3 fatty acids. These 3 things are your brain food, which none of us are focusing. We always are worried about giving that fish oil to our children. And we think that as adults, our brain doesn't require anything. Your brain is just about 2% of your body weight, but at the same time, it consumes close to about 40% of the nutrients you take. So you need to feed it. I think execution is a key when it comes to the billionaire stories.
So Dr. Sajeev, now if I have to summarize everything that we've spoken about, there are so many different topics. You've divided health into 4 different buckets. One is your brain health. Second is your mental health.
Yeah.
Third one is your
physiology
and physical health. What is the last one?
We can call it as spiritually,
Spiritual
but
health. These are the 4 things. Now, can we just summarize each of these things? What are the do's and don'ts for each of these different 4 buckets? Let's start with brain health.
I think, as I told you, this is execution center. We need to respect that execution center. And the brain is the most trainable organ. It is not your biceps.
Okay.
Because biceps you can train for 3 months. And if you don't train for the next 6 months, it may not stay there.
Correct.
But brain, once you train, if you create new neural pathways, new neural wirings, new habits, it will stay there forever. It's worth training your brain.
And how do we train the brain?
Doing it again and again and again with the support of a mentor.
Okay.
And also give the right kind of food to your brain.
Right.
Okay. Now, coming to your body,
Wait, what are the foods for my brain? Magnesium?
No, I said 3 things. One is the A2 ghee, that is the Deshi ghee.
Ghee, yes.
I said extra virgin coconut oil.
Yes.
I said omega-3 fatty acid.
Okay.
Of course, magnesium helps in terms of managing your neural firings and all those stuff.
So right now the supplements I'm taking, I will tell you. I'm taking omega-3, those fish oils.
Yeah.
I'm taking vitamin B complex. I'm taking Himalayan Shilajit tablets and vitamin D3. These are the 4 things I'm taking.
Okay. Vitamin D3?
Yeah.
Now, I have something to tell you.
I think I've read it.
Vitamin D3. I think vitamin D3, when you take vitamin D3, you have to take vitamin K.
Okay.
Because you have genetically deprivation of vitamin K.
I think in that B complex K is
also, K2 is there.
I think it is
fine.
There. Let me check.
So this
is you are saying.
Yeah.
I'll check.
This is very crucial because you have a higher risk for osteoporosis. Okay, I'll tell you this. How does it work? This will give you some great insight. Now, if you are taking vitamin D, a lot of people are taking vitamin D now. Vitamin D releases calcium in your body. All right? It produces more calcium or releases more calcium. And this calcium has to be deposited to the bones to strengthen the bones. Now, if you are deprived of vitamin K, this calcium will not go to the bone. It will go to the arteries and create calcification in your arteries.
Wow.
Which can lead to heart disease.
Interesting.
Many people do this mistake. And especially when you have got the vitamin, that's why the genetic testing becomes so crucial that, you will be able to plan your, supplement stack in a highly personalized way.
Okay. Now let's talk about the physiological health. Now, physiological health, the biggest concern that people have is, obviously, apart from diabetes and health-related problems, one of the biggest fears right now is cancer, which there's no cure. And my report also says I have intermediate risk for lung cancer, thyroid cancer, and all of that. So how do I absolutely not have cancer in my life?
Mainly, we can identify the trigger from your report itself.
Okay.
In case of the thyroid case also, we can figure out the triggers and making the lifestyle modifications so that those triggers doesn't appear. Because you cannot do anything with your genes, which is already there.
Right.
Now, the moment you stop the trigger or block the triggers through lifestyle modification, you are getting almost like a defense against the kind of possible risk. So the key factor when it comes to optimizing your body is understanding your genetic profile, understanding a metabolic profile. If possible, understand your microbiome profile. Now, you can microbiome also can be profiled.
Right.
Understanding that and then creating...
Can you profile my microbiome?
Yeah.
How can I do that?
There's something called microbiome test.
Okay.
We do that. We can do that for you also.
Oh, is that from the stool test? Is that how you do it?
It's a stool test, yeah.
Okay.
So the advantage there is that you get a complete profiling done. And based on that, you create a lifestyle modification plan, your own lifestyle plan. No keto diet, no paleo diet. It will be Sharan diet.
Hyper-personalized for me to fix my current state of microorganisms in my intestine to the desired state.
Yeah, and also based on your DNA.
Based
on your DNA. So that's why I said that it's going to be a Sharan diet plan and a Sharan fitness plan.
So this is basically the future of medicine, right?
Exactly.
The future of medicine is that you don't take a Tolo 650.
I'll just, when you talk about medicine, I just noted one thing here. There is in the drug response, there is a page called drug response where that's called pharmacogenetics, how medicines work for you and work against you. Which medicines will work for you? It is on page number 47. You can see page number 48. There is a medicine called clopidogrel.
What does that do?
Clopidogrel generally is being given to people having heart-related issues. Mainly, it is to have reduced number. Basically it is to avoid clots. That's the main thing. So maybe in decreasing a bit of platelet count and clots are being avoided. This medicine is being given to heart patients. In your case, this increases your risk.
Okay.
So you should not be taking. You don't have any other risk connected to this, but still at any point of time in your life,
Don't take this medicine.
yeah, you have to keep this in mind and you have to tell doctor that, and doctors accept this. The moment they see that genetically you are deprived, you have this high risk, you should not be taking clopidogrel. They can give another molecule instead of that. Imagine you take clopidogrel without knowing it. Many people have done it. We are seeing many cases. This can lead to bleeding, for your case. And you have another problem. Problem means you have another risk called vitamin K deficiency or lower absorption of vitamin K.
But that usually comes by eating meat, no? Vitamin K.
Normally it comes, but genetically you are deprived slightly.
Okay.
So the vitamin K deficiency also lead to bleeding. So now imagine a situation, you have vitamin K deficiency. You don't have it right now. You have that gene variant which can lead to vitamin K deficiency. Now, the moment you take a drug, suppose in case if you are prescribed with clopidogrel, this can actually create a havoc in your body, both put together. Okay. That's where we need to have your NDA profiling if you have. And the good thing is that you don't have to carry this report all the time. We have one of our clients recently, 3 weeks back, the same drug, clopidogrel, was prescribed by a doctor. And this gentleman immediately said, "Doctor, I have a genetic report with me. Can I just check it?" He said, "Yeah, go ahead," because doctor is very progressive. So he just put it there saying that I'm planning to use this medicine. And immediately the health concierge said that, clopidogrel increases your risk for coronary artery disease and also leading to bleeding. So ask your physician to recommend a different molecule. And the doctor was very curious. Doctor said, "You ask your friend, what medicine should I write?" So he said, what are the other options I have? And the concierge gave 3 different molecules, which is suitable for him. And the doctor was like, "Wow, this is really good." That doctor has become one of our great promoters now.
This is the future of medicine.
Yeah, this is the future of medicine.
Hyper-personalized medicine.
Yeah. And which takes care of your physiology. When it comes to your body, unless and until you don't know what kind of exercise suits you, what kind of exercise can damage you.
And the last one is spiritual health. What is spiritual health?
That we touched upon in a brief, like the consciousness. Something which we have to see. People look at spirituality from different angles. Some people talk about a superpower or maybe something which is beyond me. But I think, there is this concept called Aham Brahmasmi. That means it is all within me. So maybe in a different podcast we can talk about it, because if you go deeper into quantum science,
now we've gone into quantum science for this.
You can really understand where does that thing lies, like in the sense what we talk about as the superpower or the ultimate power. So which is within you. So now we can only talk about the consciousness which is driving us, which is managing the show. Brain may be running the show. The entire management is done by a consciousness, which whatever beliefs you are carrying, you believe that Lord Tirupati, if I go do a darshan and make Lord Tirupati as my partner, my business will flourish. Your business will flourish.
That happens.
That's what you believe.
But it's hard to believe for somebody who, has studied science. Like we're like, how do you explain?
I will believe in, because scientifically it's proven, because it's belief which runs you. Belief will create evidences for you. The moment I start believing that going to this temple, I can achieve all those things. I go and pray in front of this Lord, I can achieve everything. If this is a hardcore belief, that means that is a strong neural wiring. The moment I reach that place, this will get activated. And And you have in your brain something called RAS, which is called reticular activating system, which is your evidence-seeking part of your brain. It's like a high-power radar, which continuously receives signals from around the world. And wherever there are neural pathways, which are creating circuits with this RAS, and whenever you're getting those signals, you get alerts.
So would you say astrology is also similar to this?
That's completely different. But belief on astrology is different.
But do you think astrology by itself is scientifically explainable?
Yes. Yes. But I don't know about astrologers.
Okay.
Astrology has got a science.
Okay.
As long as you believe in sun, better you believe in all of the stars.
No, not that. Like how the orientation of stars of when we are born, how does that affect
It has got an impact, no? Because we all believe that sunlight has got an impact on us, right?
Right.
Our health,
Right.
our energy levels, everything is impacted by sunlight.
Agreed.
Now, when the sun moves, that means suppose in the night, because sun is the closest star for us. So as a result, all other stars are not getting that impact. Their rays are not reaching us. But the sun is not there, all the rays are coming. Definitely it will have an impact. 100%.
Perfect. Dr. Sajeev, I think that is all the questions I had. I think this was a very in-depth conversation about my own health across so many different parameters. And very lucky that I could talk to somebody like you who has done so much of research in this field. I could get, a certain percentage of your knowledge, which I can now go and implement, which I think has been, this is the investment in my health, first getting the knowledge, doing this report. And now it sort of has given me a guiding compass to know what is good and what is bad. I will surely try out that AI health advisor, right? To see exactly what else I can do to my health.
And for your entire followers, we have a tribe also where we discuss all these matters on a continuous basis, which is called Superhuman Tribe.
Okay.
So we'll give a link if you can give the link. They can join. It's a community.
It's a free community?
Free community. People can join.
Yes.
And if they want to choose some courses, they can choose the course. If you want to go through the Epigenetics program, they can do that. But the community is free, open to all.
Absolutely. So guys, we're putting that link down below. It's a free community, as Dr. Sajeev has said. You can join it and ask your questions. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Sajeev. Any last words before we end the conversation?
No, it has been a great pleasure because I think we moved from DNA to consciousness. That was a great journey. I never thought that we were going to explore all these different areas. So it has been a great communication. I think as I told you when before we started this conversation that my objective has always been to enhance human performance and optimize human performance. So even though I'm not a medical doctor, my entire work has been in the transformation space. And the reason why, this conversation is happening, I strongly believe, is because my intention to enhance or optimize the performance of entrepreneurs and investors in this world, because they contribute the maximum to the society and to the country.
Right.
So when they perform at their peak levels, I think the country is benefited, the families are benefited, people are benefited, employees are benefited.
Right.
When you perform better, your employees are benefited.
Right.
So all these efforts, what we are doing is directed towards it. And thank you for supporting this.
No, thank you so much for coming here all the way from Kochi and revealing all your knowledge to millions of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sharan. Thank you.
Before you go, guys, if this episode gave you even one insight that made you think differently about money, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with your friend or family member who could use it too. And if it sparked a new thought or even made you disagree with me, drop a comment below and tell me why. Your critique helps me make these conversations sharper and more useful for you. As long as you have me subscribed, I'll make sure that you walk away with at least one new thing every Wednesday.